Peace, 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 peace. Oh boy. Happy Libra. Autumn season to you. Oh my gosh. I know y'all feel it, because I feel it. Man. Just give yourself a pat on the back. I was really so debating creating this video. You know, the reason I say, oh yeah, give an honor to source, give an honor to the all, those that came before you, ancestors known and unknown. Man, give yourself a pat on the back, like for real, because, whoa, I don't even know, like this video, I really want to put my foot out the window, but, like, let me tell y'all something, man. Okay, yeah, that's messed up. You're gonna see corns when they ride. Nah, I ain't got no corns. But anywho, man, give yourself a pat on the back for real, because, like, whoa. Look at what we made it through. Some may say survive. But just, whoa. It's like I'm looking at the leaves. I'm looking at how significant autumn is. The change in everything. Whoa. That's all I can say is whoa. Whoa. What's this topic? Share a little bit. Like I had a little emotional moment before actually Libra season. I don't know what I was saying. Libra season actually entered. A lot of which pertains to like reparenting ourselves. So a lot of you, I don't like the term parent, but when I say really give yourself a pat on the back, really love and hug yourself, like literally, like I was even fighting coming out and even doing the video, but those moments where I feel like, oh, I'm not gonna do that, I always get this urge to do it. So it's like making a moment for myself. The view that I have is immaculate. I really want to get out, but the wind is going to be blowing, so the video will be interrupted by that. But anywho, back to I had a moment where I had a moment on the toilet. It's interesting. I'm just being authentic. Like, I was pooping. We all do it. But I had a moment, and I came across this video, and this video was speaking about how this guy was questioning, asked, like, let me see, how could I reference this? I'm pretty sure it was an interview atmosphere, but the guy asked him, like, what is your, like, how do you raise your kids consciously, or how are you aware of how you raise your kids? Like basically the awareness around consciously, how do you raise them or bring them up? And if I can recall, I believe his response was just so emotionally, intellectually, like, amazing. It was truly divine, being that he had 2 kids, but the video, and I believe he was saying, like, he didn't raise them. I really have to look at it again, but I'm going to just represent the best way I can recall. But he spoke about how, he's raising them basically at the level of awareness he is consciously. I was like, whoa. What that did for me, I'm on the toilet. And I know some people are like, I don't really give a pluck, but sometimes I do not always take my phone in there, but I'm pretty sure we're all guilty of that. And not to say you have to be shameful or guilty, but it was just at that moment where, I had to go, when I had to, happen to have the phone. None of y'all business though, you know. But anywho, hands was washed, phone was clicked out. But anyway, so just the video in itself, because sometimes we don't know how we're going to get clarity or receive some type of revelation. What that video entailed and really did for me is brought up, because I want to make it very clear about what the healing and doing shadow work or inner, I do not like that word work, but doing the inner shedding of layers of, you know, the healing per se. That being said, the letting go, some may say releasing, what it brought up for me is like when the Father was speaking and how he said he's raising them in the level of awareness that he is. I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to tell y'all, this is why I expressed to my partner and myself. I was immediately brought to tears because of what it triggered and awakened inside of me, of how, I know y'all hear me speak about this a lot, but it both affects men and women, but how I realized like, wow, I couldn't really name a lot of men, because what this brought up for me was a lot of the wounding aspect of not only what I experienced with women, but also the masculine or the men that were in my life that played a particular role in my level of awareness and consciously, or being who I am, and the significance of what I experienced with them as well, because I know I speak about women, how the feminine, and it's not feminine being, it's an energy, but how both archetypes or energy has affected not only myself, but, you know, affected you as well. So a lot of what we aren't aware of is basically where I'm getting to. It's like, it took a while for me not to beat myself up. Like, after I got out of the bathroom, you know, washed my hands or whatever, and I could not hold in what I had to express to my partner, because it was related to an experience we had with people's, let's just say, because it's not about names, it's just showing how the distortion and the dysfunctionality has run its course, and what a lot of us are at a place where we can no longer, you know, just have that tolerance for bullshit and drama and dysfunctionality, because it just took for me to get to where I'm at now, to finding that sense of peace, harmony, balance, and being restored from which I was robbed of in a way. Or it's like the shells, I'm being restored within. We're being restored of that which was like taken from us in a way, or, you know, in an innocent way of us trying to recover that fragmentation of our innocence. So these people that we were around, you know, that play that feminine, masculine role, these energies both we have, but, you know, just the role that they operated in the dysfunctionality, in the narcissist aspect, in the controlling aspect, and all those things that affected our mental health, our spiritual well-being, our physical well-being. So a lot of which, again, the moment I had is where it brought me to that place of like, wow, I wasn't just wounded from the women, I was also wounded from the men. And how it really shocked me is how, you know, how important for us as men and women, where especially men, a lot of us don't have mentors, or didn't have mentors. A lot of us didn't have those words of affirmation and encouragement growing up, after we were verbally abused by the ones that say they loved us the most, by the mothers who nurtured us, who carried us in their wombs, with their unresolved trauma, because that's the thing that I was expressing and talking to with a partner about, is that, you know, we even where we are, excluding the age, it's really a level of consciousness and awareness. So that's why I realize how vital it is to even connect or have someone that can, which even karmically, you have these relationships that will still mirror back to you unresolved traumas. So before I'm dive deep into that subject, what it brought up for me, it was so much of how the men that I saw, the wounded masculine that was affected by the wounded feminine, I wasn't just the only one. You know, there were still relatives that I knew that were still affected by these things. So I wasn't just the only one who was trying to live out their dreams or trying to feel a sense of safety and security, because a lot of what I saw with these men was there was really no sense of security. And I don't just mean in how this plays out from spiritual, emotional to physical. On the physical plane, and like what we see on earth, is how that if there's constant pointing fingers and this person this, and growing up in all this dysfunctionality and these imbalances, what that creates is, it doesn't matter who we're with. It doesn't matter, because let's say, for instance, we're in a relationship with someone who has all these material things, but I use myself as like, I could have been in relationships in the past prior to now, seeing the awareness with the relationship, how vital it is for myself. I've been in a relationship with, let's say, someone who had a lot of money, who provided security, who provided all those things materialistically, but the disconnect there was emotional security. This reflected back insecurities, to where, you know, there were moments where I was like, I would say like, I'm not concerned about your money, or, you know, because my value wasn't in what someone or how much they had. My value was always an internal thing. It's just how much we have been disconnected from source or the creator, been so due to what we have been affected by in our childhoods, and how and what value, what we were taught and projected on, whether unhealed or unresolved traumas, and what was projected onto us, what valued, what was more valuable. So again, how this affected not only myself, but also the men in my family dynamic, is it will lead one, like such as myself, to be the one who changed the narrative of, now I realize how important it is that, their focus is more material things or womanizing. And it's not pointing a finger about what they did, it's just about what they've learned. So in that, of course, that would be ostracized or hated, or, you know, saying, oh, you're a punk or a bitch, or, you know, these things, because I want to be emotionally in tune and have always been emotionally in tune, or emotional intelligent being, because that's one of my natural abilities. Having these natural abilities, we have to realize how that disassociation, that disconnect, that discord, or that dis-ease, or that discomfort has been created from our birthing, from the coming of who we are and the becoming to these certain ages. So that's why you can have people that, no matter 50, 60, whatever it is their age, but they don't have emotional intelligence. They can have all the material things, but they're not emotionally secure. So a lot of which, why I realized certain things didn't happen, or at that moment, outside of, you know, the spiritual attacks, the spiritual warfare, I myself realized how much that how much I internalize a lot of things, and how as men, we internalize a lot of things. So it doesn't matter where you put us, how far we go. I came to the awareness, I was like, wow, if I do not feel safe within my being, how could I feel safe anywhere? If the projections, then did I have that mentor or men who reflected that back to me growing up? So when we have this concept of what a man should be, it's all those things other than being in tune with himself. And how he becomes in tune with himself, he's naturally going to be attracted to a woman who's in tune with herself. Basically, the feminine aspect, because that which, how we become who we are in the masculine aspect, is that which first comes from the feminine aspect. So this is why we karmically or connect or have connected with people, whatever that woman or man energy that they're in, whether unhealed, unresolved traumas, those things have been embedded or instilled in one's mind, in one's DNA, in one's upbringing as a childhood. So going to what, seeing that video, I realized like, wow, it brought me so much. I purged for a minute. I had to go to my partner and express to her because I was crying. I realized that it was something that had to come up, because here I am through this lens, not knowing what a father looks like. Because my experience is what a father was at that moment was a man that was there, that did work, him and my mom. But seeing what my mom went through, her unsafe at that moment, instability, unstable emotions, and, her going out in the street doing what she was doing, all while having, it was different so many other times, like my upbringing, whether I was with my grandmother and my mom. But again, that created the unstableness of patterns, behavior patterns that, again, whatever I took in and I saw was subconsciously programmed. Get where I'm going with this? So everyone's experience, no matter what it is going to be consciously completely different, perceived. For me to expect your perception of me and accept that would be idiotic, would be like not even realistic in a way, or not even like, because we're all projecting like a projector screen or perceiving things from our own experience consciously or, unconsciously. And a lot of which I'm realizing, again, as I purge these things and relate it to my childhood experiences and to my own conscious experiences of what I went through, I realized like, whoa, it wasn't what just I saw with women, it also what I saw with men. So the courage it takes to even stand up for myself after experiencing some of the darkest moments, giving gratitude to the past. When I heard that brother say like, he can only give, basically, and this is the thing I need to tell y'all, you can only give what you've been given. Let me say that again. You can only give and offer someone what you've been given. A lot of that I had to relate to myself, because it's like, how can we give a love that we never experienced? How can we give someone something that we haven't experienced consciously? Would that be given from an unfulfilled place? Or is it coming from a place of seeking attention or a false illusion? And so this is the thing that a lot of us, mostly all of us, probably all of us have been affected by, is that we've been giving from a false foundation, because we have been in the illusion of others' false foundation of what security is. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. This is why you're seeing it all crumble. So again, with all this that's coming about and being exposed, having that moment where I was purging, I went to my partner and I couldn't utter the words, but I just expressed to her saying like, hey, you know, this video I watched, you know, I just expressed to her saying like, you know, we have to realize we're doing our very best. You know, I can really only give from a place where I'm consciously aware of. So everything, when people are like, oh, a man supposed to bring this to the table and this person, well, what the fuck are we bringing to the table if we haven't even really, we only bringing to the table what seeds we've sown, or what seeds were planted in us. Let's get on that. I can only bring to the table from that which I have, the seeds that I've sown, the seed, and then the harvest that I've reaped. So your harvest may look completely different. So we're not just talking about finances. Because one thing I learned from a partnership is like, if I saw a partner who developed a father who was, and this is not to grade or devalue anyone, but if I saw, and this is a part of the distortion of what, you know, how men have been affected by both, you know, what their reality is and how it's been affected with women as well, because it's all accountability here. This is all this is about, is bringing it back to myself, and for us to bring it back to self, to face self. If I had a partner who, you know, didn't have a mother present but had a father, so I'm gonna, in that, see, a lot of us don't want to know and see that a lot of our mothers and fathers did was subconsciously their fears were projected onto us, that which they didn't live out there or feel, they don't feel fulfilled, so they didn't live out their dreams or you know, they didn't live out their journey. So what that creates, what people don't talk about, is the underlining or the foundation of that is that they begin to build a false foundation or a false narrative of have this masking on of trying to be something that they're not, because they're consumed by the title of what a parent, what I'd say pay rent, or they're consumed by these titles which allow this false identity, which creates a false perception, which creates a false foundation, which is projected onto us, you know, as kids, as toddlers. And so not only are we affected by this, but then this is where the resentment comes in, because they're not living out what they love. So they end up doing something that they hate. So what that hate and that emotions and all those things do over time, it builds up. So in that it builds up over time, what that does is that it'll play out in a way to where people will start to see their kids as burdensome or baggage, you know, whether emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all these things have been harbored. So what I had to come to the realization is like, wow, this is most of what you see in the Americas or around the world, because of the distortion and the dysfunctionality that we have been looping through, and the spell being lifted of how people have been living in these false identities, creating false foundation. Then you have these elders who are so set in their way that they don't want to let go of what they have been programmed to believe, to accept, and what they have watered so long. And in their rooting of that, which this false perception of what stability is, and in reality what it isn't, because it's the opposite, which the focus is more external rather than internal. So that's why you see the clashing of what you see some of the elders and when you see some of the youth, where it seems like a lot of us now are being called to the forefront because of doing what we call the shadow work or the inner work of the healers, is because you have a world where have the real healers or the authenticity have been. If you don't have people who accept their shadow, who accept the skeletons and embrace the things that they have experienced, who can talk about the polarity of everything instead of trying to look at it from a one-sided perception. So in that, again, this is how we all have been affected by this, because the codependency on external things and the dependency on external things has caused one to suffer. Because if you're not dependent on self first and become self-sufficient, we didn't have that. A lot of us didn't have that. No matter how much money you had, these people can have all the money but not have, again, the emotional security of when that money is not there. Then that's when the mental health, we see this mental health crisis coming in. So a lot of which, again, it's not to discredit, devalue. It all served its purpose. So again, going back to how it relates to me and how all these things, bringing it back to myself. Again, when you see your relationships, all of it somehow consciously reflects what experience, whether karmically, unresolved issues in the family dynamic, unresolved trauma from your mother and or father or whatever person, spouse, it all is rooted in something, whether it's built on authenticity or inauthenticity, which is a false foundation. So if that shit is crumbling, it's because it's divine order. It's for you to see what it is that you need to stand in, that your family or ancestral lineage or people didn't do. See, that's the thing. Like, I've been wanting to talk about this, man, because it's not talked about enough, where, again, having to talk to my partner and express that, it's like, man, it's like I had to realize, like one of my elders said, don't ever beat yourself up over your past, because a part of me, people naturally, because they're so stuck on the external, see the, the stature and who I am, but deep down I know that there's an inner child that's calling out, the inner child that naturally wants to build. Because a lot of us have been in dynamics where you have these elders or you have these men and women who are, which they don't realize, represent a father and mother, because they carry the masculine and feminine energy. So they naturally going to reflect back either unresolved issues, unresolved trauma, which sometimes their conscious is not even aware of. So in reality, we are experiencing people at the level of awareness they are at. So you being a guardian, use it in term parent, but a guardian, whether you have kids or not, you still are at a level of awareness consciously where you're supposed to be. So to even try to change the trajectory, mindset, or anything of anyone, even your kids, they are more aware than even some of us. We're trying to get back to the level of awareness, which is returning to source, which is returning to that, recovering our childhood innocence from which we were before we were tampered with, before, all this bullshit was going on. We're trying to get where they are. That's why they're here to lead the way. We're trying to return to that. But due to the fact of what we have experienced karmically, ancestrally, we think it's normal to try to control their narrative. And in reality, we don't even want our fucking narrative. We don't even want to be controlled. We don't want to be told what to do or what we should do. Yeah, I'm going to call it for what it is. Because none of us does. Because we govern ourselves. We are sovereign. It's natural for us to, be in, to get up and say, I can do what I want and feel liberated in that. So everyone has been affected by societal what you call limitations, or in a way to where people say they're free, but they're not liberated. You can live in, y'all say y'all live in the land of the free. What does that even mean? Free of what? Because most people are saying this, are you free of this illusion of debt? Are you freeing yourself? Are you liberating yourself from the illusions, from the projections that have been coming at you since your birth? So again, me going, connecting back to that aspect of that, it's like a lot of us as men haven't had that encouragement because we have been mentally, physically, spiritually destroyed try to be, I would say, dismantled or uprooted from the foundations, which is the divine mother aspect, or which is which you see how we were attacked by that which helps build our foundation. The foundation is the feminine aspect, which we all come from. So everyone has been attacked in how, if you turn not only, and it's not so, we can say the origins of everything, the melanated aspect, but how it involves everybody is how, if I can turn a woman against not really knowing her value, she's going to destroy everything around her. If she don't believe in herself and honor who she is, no matter her culture, creed, or whatever, she can dismantle with her mouth everything around her. That's why you see the actions of our men, the little young boys. Is, again, I tell people, how can you build up something if you don't speak life into it? So a lot of which I realized, it wasn't just so much of the wounded feminine, masculine. So when I say wounded feminine, it's like a lot of men are wounded feminines in a way. We just exert it or express it in a masculine way because we are men. But when you look at women, again, they too are wounded feminines in a way too. They're acting or reacting out their woundedness being what they have experienced from the masculine energy. And that both comes from how their mother acted that out in a masculine way, and from her wounded feminine aspect. So you see how the energies both are intertwined, or, we both have these energies. It's just how the shadow aspect, or how we are reenacting, how we are expressing it. So again, I had to not, I don't come on here to attack people. It's just the fact of bringing it back to myself, whoa, that hit me. So again, a lot of us are at a place where peace and harmony and balance is so vital, because we can't be, I'm at a place now, fuck all that bullshit. I'm not finna, no one's coming in my life and think you finna beat me down with words or anything. I don't want to be a part of it. That's just because of where I've gotten to. You don't have to honor and respect that. If you don't, so be it. Let go, cut cords, this peace, because that's all I'm needing right now. And and to even get to that place is more valuable than just trying to obtain all these material things, without really having an internal value or knowing what your internal value is. See, we're reconnecting to that value and see how limitless we are through what we're doing. Because when you look at a child, they're limitless. They don't have fear. We're trying to brush off, peel off all these illusions and projections from society, politics, just so many things that I can name. So in essence, we all have been affected by that. So again, that moment I had to express to her, it's, some of us are at a place where, if you're having, the thing about coming into reparenting or regarding, I like to say guarding because I'm gonna make up some shit, re-implementing or recreating our reality to where it's harmonious. So that can be very challenging because certain people don't resonate, whether it be your parents, whether it be family. That can be very challenging for people because you go through a grieving moment. I went through a grieving moment because it's nothing personal against people I love. I still love you unconditionally, or I still love you. There's no limit on the love that I have for myself. So there's no limit I have on love for people, but respectfully, honorably, I'm going to distance myself because, see, we don't create, if the distance doesn't happen, how will we be able to see ourselves? how will we be able to heal? Because they see the healing is reparenting yourself. How the fuck would you be able to see what's going on if you don't realize that sometimes, yeah, it can happen when you're there. But sometimes people got to realize, like, for me, the distance has to happen so I can re-implement, set those boundaries, plant those seeds, create another healthy environment for not only myself, for my tribe, then really see as you distance yourself how you are attacked by people who don't even know the idea what being healthy spiritually, mentally, physically is. Because they're so caught up in and so attached to the external or things that have no value. So you got to realize that the reason why you're attacked or these things come because these people have entity attachments, they're low vibing and all these things, and they're not going where you're going. Once your reality starts looking different, I can hear the fucking birds now. I ain't got to, worry about nobody calling me, talking about Shay Shay and Riri and, Robert, this person did. I don't care. Because the beauty of it is that when you can recover and restore, you're being restored right now. We're being restored so we can get these messages out, so we can live. You deserve to live a life harmoniously, through bliss, through love. Without, and through that, your subconscious fears come up centered around all of that. I didn't even realize how much that comes up. The fear, like, imagine the fear of not only just connecting with women again, in essence of how, where I can see them. I got to see myself healthy first. I got to do the inner work first before I can even be in the presence of a woman who that's what the divine mother feminine energy is. Is that she honored both what she has went through and what she is becoming. As a wise person once told me, it's like, to love a woman, you love all versions of her. So the same goes for you. To love yourself is you love all versions of you. You don't just be like, oh yeah, this is who I am, love and light. No, that's bullshit. Dark and light, all these things. I have to love every version of myself to even be where I'm at. Now, when people come around and want to attack and project their insecurities and say this and this, I realize that they haven't faced their shadow. They haven't accepted or embraced their darkness. No matter their age, it doesn't matter. Because maturity or emotional intelligence, consciously, when we're talking about a conscious, that doesn't have an age. People come into their own knowingness or awareness within divine order and divine timing. So what I come a lot of awareness is that I came into this awareness in divine timing. Not, the times where I wanted to force on other people. No, I had to go inward. I had to listen to myself. I had to listen to what I was ignoring. I had to express to my partner, express to people. I said, we've been going, and ignoring our trauma responses the whole time. Getting in this relationship, doing this. Oh, go to work. What do you think all these things are disguised to do? It's to distract you from really going within. It's to distract you from really the emotional harboring and the unresolved traumas that are still there. And that's what breaking generational curses is that those unresolved traumas and generational curses are the same thing. It's like, think about the fact of you are doing something that your mother and father didn't do. That's breaking a generational curse. Bravo. What do you mean? I don't give a fuck if it's coming to the awareness that you have a peace of mind. And you see people that didn't grow up with that. So you're able to get to that place where you can recover and your ancestors went through certain things to where you now can have a peace of mind. You now can live financially free or whatever it is. Anything, it looks different for everybody. To create a foundation that's stable, that doesn't have to be, you be concerned about, this person worrying about this person. No, it's not about the competitive bullshit y'all see, the egotistical boasting and bragging about, oh, this is what you do. What? Do something you never did. Go do something. We want to forget about, oh, I went and bought, oh, this and that. Man, what? Let's hear about, man, you know what, bro? Today I got up, I did something. I went and took an hour and 2 hours to myself. man, I'm so proud of you for that. Sis, oh, you went and did what? You went and took yourself out on a date or whatever. You went and what? You went and sat with your shit. You went and loved on yourself. Man, I love you for that. You know how much of a challenge that is? But we are promoting shit that don't even matter. Doesn't even matter. That shit don't even, that does nothing for me. Like I tell people, you come over here, it's accountability. We healing over here. That shit ain't no cakewalk. I'm on the toilet. I didn't think that was going to happen when I saw a video, and I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh. Like, wow. And then the fear came up of like trusting again. Not only trusting myself, but trusting to be in a presence where you knew that the men that was wounded in your family or whatever they experienced, you knew that they had jealous tendencies or they was envious of you because of the favor that you had. It's not to devalue them. It's the fact of my journey was different. They also had free will to do those things, to face those things, to change. I can't make them, but in reality, it's that if I was removed, in essence, it was for my own protection. You know, because at a point, I thought at that moment, you know, developing what they call womanizing, or really it's like taking advantage of people, when in reality, you're taking advantage of yourself. And a lot of things we're not even conscious aware of until we realize how it affects other people after we don't depart it. And then even after your departure, that shit emotionally is still stored in your memories, in your subconscious, in your body. You know what I'm saying? So the responsibility when we're talking about being accountable for your emotions, for your journey, for it is who you're becoming, there ain't no identity to that. The greatest knowledge, the greatest intelligence, as the elder one said, is someone who finds a solution to their own problems, or to know thyself, to show thyself approved. You got to show up for you. You got to know you better than anybody else. So in knowing these things and coming into this awareness, I was like, wow. Now I want to be in the presence or attract those who knows the value. And it's not to exclude or to say that people won't have, you know, what they have materialistically. That's not my call. But it's to value, it's the value of integrity and authenticity. And being you and inner child's meshing. See, that's the thing where I realize it's like this thing we call isolation, and people so addicted and obsessive over being secluded. Everyone don't do that. Social media be having people so mind fucked to where we think like, when we post this stuff, we think everybody got to do it. Man, but who are you outside of there, even if there was no social media or whatever it is? That's why I love nature so much. You don't see no tree trying to be like the other tree. You don't see no bird trying to be like the other bird. You don't even see waters that come from different places trying to be like this water. You know what I'm saying? It sounds wild, but in reality, this human species or these people are the only ones trying to be like something that they're not. Like, what? Ooh, I be going on, but it just be flowing. So again, it's like to remind y'all, like, you'd be surprised how much you can learn from the youth. They come here to be exactly who they are. So what do you think is going to be created when you're trying to control their narrative? That's going to create resentment. That's why a lot of us are at a place where we don't even resonate with people that said they love us so much, because in essence, we are naturally a harmonious, nurturing, and, you know, all these things that have to reflect the feminine and masculine. So we're naturally going to be able to recognize the woundedness and, you know, the shadow aspect, because we're here to do something completely different. And the youth is going to show us and be the guide, and they're going to do even greater after us. You're saying it ain't about no lights and convincing, and I'm not, man, what? I'm just here for the moment. Okay. It's my birthright, and I will, to live harmoniously, to live a balanced life, however that looks, prosperous and wealthy life. And not be so focused on holding on or wanting to hold on, whether it's a partner, people, and everything. I had to see the woundedness and acknowledge the things that I went through, so that having a princess, so co-creating with someone to realize like, wow, if I don't acknowledge what I went through, and we able to speak through our unresolved traumas, whether we're together or whatever it is, like that would create resentment or create something to where the attachment to the idea of what the princess should be or your kids should be. You see, this is the stuff again, what unresolved traumas or healing, avoiding certain things could do. To each his own. It's not for everybody. Receive or resonate, let the rest fly. This is for those who know or who are in alignment where you are well deserved, and you deserve to live a life that's adventurous and fun. So we got to go through the shadow, the subconscious awareness, the fears that come up centered around that. I'm grateful and honored that I've gotten to this place where I can reflect back with a partner to even be authentic about what it is has happened. This is how you love. This is how you realize that once you with somebody, no matter what relationship, whether your mother, father, anybody without the title, they still have something that still reflects their love language. I don't care if it's some type of addiction, whatever it is. Y'all like to use the term good and bad, but the shadow aspect, how they operate that, has a lot to do with what they have consciously experienced. And they're only living that out. Whoo, boy, I'm just honored. So again, it's the beauty of all of this is that why would I tell a bird how to be a bird? A bird already know what to do. I can't tell a bird to be I ain't even a bird, so I'm gonna tell a bird to be a better bird, or to tell a fish in this natural habitat, like, you need to be a better fish. You need to do that. Like, for real, bro. We were so caught up in a spell or just some type of bullshit for us to even think that, like, are we really inspiring? Are we really trying to lure people in? Are we really trying to attract and to manipulate? Like, what? For me to even tell you what you should and how you should be doing, I even had to catch myself, man. I'll be like, bro, I'm just really here breathing, living. To even have gotten to this place in this lifetime is a beautiful moment. To be emotionally secure. To be emotionally immovable. To honor that. And it's a daily thing. It don't just happen overnight, man. That's why I keep telling y'all, like, be easy on yourself. A lot of us, the reason why I tell myself why I have a love language, I can share this with y'all, and this is how you can learn something about yourself. Being physically abused is like now, how I see the importance of how vital it is to have a partner who was relatable to physical touch. And, oh my God, dog. Like, to physical touch. And the reason why I relate that so much is because, what the shadow and inner work does is that, it's not in vain. You do these things, and when they say you are what you attract, or you become that, in essence, yes, and then, I can say that, but it looks different for everyone. But can you see what's right in front of you? Can you appreciate the moment and stay present? Because a lot of us had got caught up in the idea of what was projected onto us, which has led us to try to control others. You got to see how the narcissist aspect or the old timelines has led us all into our own destruction, self-destruction, only for us to see self. You got to self-destruct, in a way, dismantle the old false foundation to be able to build a new. That's like, I'd be grateful that I had tower moments. I'd be grateful that certain stuff happened so I can be able to be like, oh my gosh, wow, like, I'm glad this happened. Now I can really see the reality, like, the self-awareness of like, oh shit, like, it's deep. I wouldn't be able to express this. I don't care if people about convincing people. I wouldn't be able to express it if I didn't see how my actions have affected not only me, but how it's like a ripple effect. It's like you throw a rock in the water and that ripple effect eventually touches somebody or touches something and have an effect on everyone. So I realized, like, even if I could, oh my God, I'm going to leave y'all with this. So beautiful. If I can have, because life is truly a balance, but if I can have just as much of a, and this is why you're seeing the value of what really matters now, the false narratives and all the false templates and stuff being dismantled, because if these people can have just as much a profound effect on your life, whether emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, if I can say these things if these people have done these things to devalue, to ostracize, whatever it is, in every way. Now, due to people's programming, why is it, so y'all like to say wrong, or why is it an issue or problem for me to empower? Now, to speak life into the women and men and young women, you know, whoever it is who haven't had that, because in essence, I reflect back what it is to, from the wounded masculine, now speaking from a divine masculine. Let me speak life into which I know you are divine. Now, someone who's unhealed and hasn't done their shadow work or whatever it is, being whether man or woman, will rebuttal or have their insecurities will be very loud. Or they can try to manipulate it and make it seem like they come into agreement, but in reality, like, they haven't really faced themselves. So a lot of which, again, is the awareness around where you are, and know that what you're doing, how it affects you first and will affect others. See, the beauty of it is that no matter what, can you see yourself blossoming and how it will help others? So again, a lot of us are reparenting or having to, not only while you're unhealed, like this shit is so deep, bro. It's like people who have kids or who, you know, who be around kids or whatever. It's like let me show you how beautiful and amazing you are. I'm gonna leave y'all with this, man. You're daily unresolving. You're choosing. It's a choice. It's how beautiful this shit. You're choosing to, in your mind, and I'm gonna imagine like this is a garden, and you're the gardener in a way, but you're gardening yourself. You know, that's like parenting. You're gardening and yourself. You're weeding out that which caused the mental clutter and all these things, cutting out things that no longer serve you, digging and nourishing the land, the foundation. Your life is like a garden. Your mind, your body. Once you start to realize like you're delicate, you're precious, then you will. And it's a process that unresolved issue, the unresolved traumas are like people that's in your life that are like, that represent things like karmically, to where like, yeah, they play a purpose, but you have to see it to remove it, to clear that garden out so you can blossom, so your fruit can blossom, so you can grow, so you can expand your garden, whether it start from here to here to here to acreage to whatever it is. See, that's the thing. You're the gardener in your life. Now, also with that gardening, you still have people who will come help nourish you. And you will have those that will come and just simply watch and observe and await for your fruit, for your harvest to come. But in reality, the foundation that, again, the unresolved issues, whether it be in family, the unresolved trauma, is a representation of those things that want to attack your garden or dismantle it or destroy it. But one thing that people have to realize is that, and you come to this realization that as a gardener, you have the tools no matter who comes. You can always move or remove yourself. You can always start anew, and that's okay. You can always, there's an abundance of land to where you can plant. Sometimes you got to learn the lessons karmically with people to where this foundation didn't work. This foundation, the soil wasn't the best. It's like pertaining to relationships and most importantly, bringing it back to yourself. Okay, this didn't work. This didn't happen for a reason. Okay, what can I do? And in that, it's just not giving up. It doesn't mean you don't have to surrender, because at a point in time, you have to surrender to the growth of your garden. See, there's a saying goes, and I got to go, is that we don't plant the seed and receive the harvest in the same season. So even when you plant the seed and we so ready and so adamant to receive the harvest, what about the patience to receive that harvest, no matter the years of duration? What about you having to till that land and do certain things and be patient in seeing how, again, the things that were sown, the seeds that you sown in the darkness? Because we want to, like, not we, but let's not make it seem like all the seeds we planted and everything, all the things that we planted, well, we're not going to always reap that harvest. It's not going to always, some fruit don't make it out. Meaning that some people won't see your growth. Some people will see your growth. Some people will be a part of your growth. Some will play a part in your growth as weeds. And it's a lot to do with that. And it's not to discredit, make people out to be enemy, whatever it is. I like to say that I don't have enemies unless people make themselves my enemy. But in reality, again, we don't plant the seed and receive the harvest in the same season. So the beauty of all of that is that you are the main character. You are the gardener of your life. Meaning that from source, from the creator, whatever your higher power is, that you are giving the tools. You are giving the seeds. You are giving everything, even where you are right now. But can you see? Can you appreciate? Can you value the tools that you have as of now to prepare your garden, or to, cleanse or remove, or to set forth whatever it is that you're going to build? Because again, whatever you build, unless that garden, if it's built upon truth and a foundation upon authenticity, nothing real or authentic can be threatened. Peace and blessings. Shalom.